Well, the weekend is coming to a close, but it does not mean we have to end things here. As you know, we are going to continue. We are going to be, of course, doing three reviews from two different promotions. If you guys are big fans of the Japanese wrestling style, well, guess what? You guys are, in fact, on the right channel. So for today, we have, of course, Stardom with Day 11 and Day 12 of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. As you know, we're getting closer and closer towards the end. So we will see how far everybody has progressed. And then, of course, we move on with Day 5 of New Japan's World Tag League. So I believe we are doing A block matches only. So we will see what happens on here and out. And then we cap up our episode with some news updates, only updating you guys on developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. If you like what you see, please subscribe to us, so click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. I believe it's time for takeoff. So, let's begin with Stardom. Okay, Stardom, Day 11th of Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. And this took place back on the 21st of November in Yokode. Hopefully I pronounced it right. If not, there we go. So anyway, our first match is a non-tournament match. We have the three-way. Raka versus Sayaka Kurara versus Lady C. Now, of course, some of you may think by looking in this match that Kurara is the most, well, not the most, but the weakest link of the group, since she does not have the necessary experience yet. We're almost close for her to reach 1 year because, if you guys don't know this, I did a little research. She debuted on Christmas of 2023. So basically, we will see how things will progress for her when we get her first year. But however, some of you may consider maybe Raka or Lady C will pick up the win. We know they have picked up the wins here and there in singles competition, but it was Kurara who had the tenacity to take on Raka because later on in another timing, she and Tam will be facing Raka and Natsuko Tora during the tournament. But unfortunately, this is more like a warm up for Raka, so this match ended up with a choke power bomb by Raka to Kurara, and just like that, picking up the win. Now let's jump into the next match, which is a part of the tournament of Blue Goddesses block. We have EXV's Rian and Waka Tsukiyama taking on Kohaku and Meisira. Now, of course, nothing too significant of this one, but remember, Macedo, who has been known as a high-speed wrestler, that would have been a very capable match. But however, it was Kohaku who was able to pick up the win on Waka, and just like that, they are now in 7 points. So basically, that's how it rolls up. And as for Rihanna and Waka, they only have 4. So I don't know how far I don't think they're gonna able to progress, but we'll see. Now our next 2 matches are the non-tournament ones. First one, we have a combined version of Hate with different people. We have Azusa Inaba teaming up with the leader of Hate, Natsuko Tora. They take on O2 Line, Miyu Amasaki, and Azumi. So basically, nothing too keen on this one. But of course, when it comes to Hate, you know their tactics that they will use whatever it takes to win their matches at any cost. But however, it was Amasaki that was able to pick up the win on Inaba, but not using the Tenzai, which is a very she uses the very effective way to pin her opponents, and she did that with Inaba, and just like that, it was over. Now our next match, we have a 5-on-5 match. We have Matoi Hamabe, who she teams up with the members of Stars, more specifically Momo Kogo, Saya Ida, Hanan, and our current IWGP Women's Champion Mayu Iwatani. They take on the Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori, Sayuda Ano, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. Now, of course, many of you may think that the common link of this match is um, Hamabe, because she, in fact, is the least experienced. She just debuted not too long ago on the last New Blood event. That kind of plays out, but we've seen some great developments coming from everybody, especially. But it was Natsupoi who picked up the win with an armbar onto Hamabe, and just like that, it was over. Now let's jump into our Goddess Tag League matches. We have from the Red Goddess block, we have God's Eye, consistent of Rani Agami and Tomoka Inaba, taking on Psy Queen, the members of Hate, consistent of Saya Kamitani and Konami. Now, of course, like any other type of match, we've seen some dirty tactics. But, however, it was Kamitani with a Star Crusher on Inaba, just like that, giving them the total points of 6, while leaving, of course, Yagami and Inaba with the total of 2 still. So we'll see how far they progress as well. Now we jump into our blue goddesses. We have Hate Supreme, the other members of Hate, more specifically our current tag champions Tekla and Momo Watanabe, taking on Neo Genesis, um, Suzuki, and of course Starlight Kid. Now remember, there is no love lost between, of course, Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe. Remember, those two were tag team partners when they were known as Black Desire, and now the opposite. So things kind of got out of haywire. But this match ended in a double countout after leaving with 12 minutes and 46 points. So basically, each team gets, of course, total of 1 point. However, this leads Hate Supreme with 9 points, and as for Neo Genesis, 7. So we'll see about that. Our next match, well, a very interesting one. This is part of the Red Goddesses. We have Highmate, the members of EXV, consistent of Hanako and Micah. They take on, of course, uh, tag league winners and former tag champions as well, FWC, more consistently Koguma and Ozuki. Now, of course, it's no secret about Koguma and Ozuki and Micah. As you all know, they're all part of the Fukuoka area, so that kind of plays out pretty well. But of course, it was going to be no holdbacks. But of course, the common factor is Hanako, who's a bit more stronger. Not to mention, she has the new Arsenal submission that she learned from Shinsuke Nakamura. That would have been a factor. But however, it was, of course, Hazuki with a senton onto Hanako, allowing themselves to pick up the win and leaving the entire match with the total of 12 points, leaving Highmate into 12. I mean 10 actually. So basically, you can say maybe there's a possibility that Highmate could win the entirety of the tournament, but we will see what happens until then. But for now, we'll leave things as it is with this one. Let's move on to the next one. I think we're doing day 12. Okay, day 12 of Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. This was in Sendai, but not at the venue Sendai Pit, as many of you have seen before, but nope. Let's jump in with, of course, the non-tournament matches. Our first one, we have a bit of a EXV showdown. Hanako teams up with Wako. As you know, those two have been a very capable team, but they face against Rian and Micah. So basically, it was going to be a very interesting match. Now, however, what does this mean in some capacity? Well, as I said before, Hanako and Waka have been a capable team before um, this tournament. But in this case, it was Hanako who picked up the win with that submission move on Rihanna, allowing them to pick up the win. Now, our next match, Matoi Hamabe teams up once again with the members of Stars, more specifically Momokoko and Hanan. They take on Neo Genesis, Suzuki, Starlight Kid, and Meisera. Of course, nothing too significant on this particular match in any way possible. But however, many of you may think, okay, Matoy is the weakest link of the group. Maybe taking was capable of course, eating the pinfalls or submissions. Well, that wasn't the case. I know there's some been. Of course, there was a moment where we see Starlight Kid applying the black leg lady killer onto Hanan, allowing her to tap out. So as you all know, there's been some tensions between Starlight Kid and Hanan ever since she was kicked out of Oedo Tai. But we'll see what happens until then. But there was a promo they did on the post match, and just I don't know what they said, but yeah, whatever it was, must have been good. Now we jump into our Blue Goddesses block. We have God's Eye members, Lady C and Hinan, taking on, of course, Cosmic Angel members Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori. So as you know, they've been a very capable team. Now, some of you may think that anything could happen on this match. I wasn't too sure how was going to go up and on about, but it was, of course, Yuna Mizumori with the Supergirl on Hina, allowing them to pick up their next 2 points, which leaves them at the total of 4. Of course, Lady C and Hina remain at 2. Now, our next match, we have the members of Hate, more specifically Sai Kamitani, Uraka, Konami, and Atsuko Tora. They take on Star members Saya Ida, Koguma Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, of course, we know that Hate and Stars have been in war with each other on many occasions. But of course, due to their ways, like cheating their way through, that's always been one of their key things. But however, it was Raka who ended up on the wrong side of the moonsault by Mayu Iwatani, allowing for her and her team, the Stars, to pick up the win. Hate that noise. Okay, now we jump into Red Goddesses block. We have God's Eye members Rane Agami and Tomoka Inaba taking on O2 Line, Miyu Masaki and Azumi. So basically, nothing too significant of this match. But however, it was a pretty good one. I wasn't too sure how this is going to be. I mean, we know that they haven't advanced any further, but however, this match changed that when Azumi applied the Azumi Sushi onto Inaba, allowing for them to get their next 2 points with a total of 4, leaving Inaba and, of course, Yagami with just 2. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a hate showdown in the Blue Goddesses block. We have Devil Princess, consisting of Zuza Inaba and Rina, taking on Hate Supreme, our current tag champions, Tekla and Momo Watanabe. Now, I know what some of you are thinking just by hearing this match, or many of you who saw this, you would think Tekla and Momo Watanabe would definitely have this match won in every capacity because they are currently the tag champions. That makes them as the fan favorite to win. I mean, I would agree with all of you in that perspective. But what I was not expecting is how this match ended. Now, of course, as I said, it would have been Tekla and Momo that pick up the win, but no, it was Rina who picked up the win when she applied a submission on Tekla and forced her to tap out. And just like that, it was over, giving them the total points of 8, while, of course, Tekla and Momo with just 9. Now, I don't know what they said in the promo, but I'm sure that they're happy with it because Rina did stated they said that they're going to win this entire tournament. Well, we'll see how that goes because anything could happen from here on out. Now, our main event, we have a very interesting match. We have the Red Goddesses block. We have God's Eye members Saki Kashima and Shuri taking on the Cosmic Angel members Sayaka Kurara and Tam Nakano. Now, of course, many of you know the story between Tam and along with Kashima. They actually know each other well back from their time with Stars, and then of course Shuri, when Tam couldn't even defeat her for the red belt. That's always been one of those things that kind of brought back. But I think the one thing that none of us expected in this match, as you all know, Kurara surprised us with her biggest win was when she pinned Kamitani. Now she surprised us again, and this time she did that by pinning Kashima when she tried to apply the Kishikase on her, but somehow Kurara was able to counter it and just like that pick up the win, which was a huge shock for Kashima. And Tam was like a bit shocked and happy at the same time that her precious Kurara was able to pick up the win. So they actually walk out with the total of 6 points, while Shuri and Kashima walk out with 4. So it was very surprising. I have to say, we have seen Kurara has grown up so much. I think she probably will be ready one day to become, of course, a future champion. But we will see what happens. But for now, of course, Kurara gets to celebrate with the person she admired the most before she became a wrestler, with Tam Nakano. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. So I think that's pretty much it with this one. So I believe it's time to move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, our last review, New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is, of course, day 5 of World Tag League. This is the much recent one. Now, as I said before, this is all about the A block matches only. So let's begin. Our first match, we have the members of Bullet Club, Chase Owens and Kenta. So far, they are currently no points in their system, but they have to face against a team so far so good, have been dominant, and so far they haven't lost a single match just yet. And that team is, of course, the United Empire, consistently of Cal Newman and Jeff Cobb. Now, when it comes to Bullet Club, you know that they like to do tactics that would benefit them to win. But however, that did not apply on this one because um, Kenta ended up on the wrong side of the Tour of the Islands by Jeff Cobb, allowing them to get their next 2 points, as I said before, leaving them undefeated so far. Now, our next match, we have the fun, exciting, funky sauce, Ryusuke Taguchi and Alex Zane taking on TMDK's Rohei Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, what I liked about this match, to be honest with you, it was a very interesting. Now, Taguchi only has one submission move that he's always been known to use, which is the ankle lock, which is also a familiarized move that Zack Sabre Jr. does too, because don't forget, Zack Sabre Jr. has been dubbed as the technical wizard. And that's always been his nickname. But I have to say, I like how they were able to counter everything possibility. But in the end, it was Zack Sabre Jr. with the Zack driver on Alex Zane that allowed them to get their next 2 points, leaving them with just 4. But as for Funky Sauce, they're still at 0. Our next match, we have Tomoaki Hamna and Shota Umino taking on Bishiman, who are, in fact, as you know, many people can say they are the fan favorite to win the tournament, as 2-time winners of World Tag League and IWGP Tag Team Champions as well. That's always been the case. Many of you may think that's the possibility where this is going to end up, but no. It was, in fact, Shota Umino with the Death Rider on Hiroki Goto that allowed them to pick up the win. So, just like that, it was over. Now, once the celebration began, the lights turned off. We saw a surprise visit video from Claudio Castagnoli. Now, remember, Shota Umino had said certain things about his former mentor, John Moxley, and Moxley heard what he's saying, so he feels that he needs to be taught a lesson, that he needs to get his education restarted again. So he said that he was going to send an emissary to deal with him, and that emissary was now been confirmed Claudio. Claudio told him that you still wear his jacket, you still have it, and of course telling him that he was the first Death Rider. I mean, technically he is. So basically, he's telling him all this, but of course, Umino did state that he feels like this was a very inappropriate thing for Claudio to do, knowing that they're still in Tag League because, of course, Umino's focus is on Tag League, and then after that, his focus will be against Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Kingdom. So we'll see what happens down the line with them. Now, our main event, we have the Bullet Club War Dogs, more specifically Sonata and the Madman himself, Gabe Kidd, with his loud mouth, taking on LIJ's Yota Tsuji and Shingo Takagi. Of course, there was going to be some interesting moments. Don't forget, Sonata knows um, Takagi before they teamed up before when he was still an LIJ member, and not to mention he got speared by Tsuji when he first returned from his excursion. So that also plays out pretty well as well. But however, you would this. There were some moments where, of course, Sonata would expect the Gene Blaster, so he somehow expect that one coming. But in this case, Sonata ended up on the wrong side of the Frankensteiner by Suji, giving them their next 2 points, leading them with 4. And as for the War Dogs, with 2. And of course, Gabe Kidd looks livid that he can't believe he lost. But Suji told him, told Gabe Kidd in the post match promo that he better beat, of course, Kenny Omega and all that. So we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, let's end things here and move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So as I said before, we only have developments that are happening in the World Pro Wrestling as we speak. Now, our first one, as you know, more names are continued to be named in WWE ID. As you all know, our next 2 names are Jordan Oasis and Zoe Zager. I don't know who much about those two, but just put it out there for anybody if they know who they are. Now, AEW has been making plans. As you know, many AEW talent have been making their way down to Mexico, mostly participating recently with CML. So it appears that, AEW plans to introduce themselves to Mexico. And of course, the ideal uh, place to do that is Arena Mexico. So, which is, of course, is the place where CML does most of their shows there. So I'm sure that they will have a nice agreement with the people who own it, which is, of course, CML. Uh, so that plays out pretty well. A very shocking, surprising developments with women in wrestling, or known as WOW. The Beast, who was the current world champion, all of a sudden announced her that she quit the promotion. Not nothing has been seemingly explained why, but of course the promotion said that they wish nothing for the best for her. So we'll see where that goes. Now, 2 things have been announced about in WWE within the WWE news, as I put it in this section. If many of you should know this, there was a lot of talk about the Hurt Business, or now known as the Hurt Syndicate. Now, before they even make 3 of the members made their way to, of course, AEW. Apparently, Hurt Business were being planned to be the next Nation of Domination. Many of you remember those who were part of the Attitude Era. That is, features, of course, Farouk, or better known as Ron Simmons, um, D'Lo Brown, The Godfather, and of course, The Rock. So I don't know why, because they're trying to turn them is like the Nation of Domination 2.0. So that was their initial plans with them, but I don't know if that would have worked. And of course, the other news coming from WWE, apparently this one is a very bit of surprise. Apparently, they've been informed that talent will no longer have free tickets for their friends and family to attend their events, which is a huge low blow for the talent. I mean, imagine people want to see them. I mean, yeah, I get that. So hopefully they thought this through, but we'll see how the repercussions were put in for the talent. But yeah. Now, I did not watch the post match comments coming from, of course, uh, our current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Douki. Apparently, Douki called out Sammy Guevara. Now, some of you may question, why would he call him out? There is a real specific reasons. Those who know this or not, Sammy and Douki actually know each other pretty well when Sammy was doing his Japanese tour long before AEW ever existed. If you guys ever seen Sammy's vlogs from his earlier years, you can see Douki was there. There were times when he's not wearing his mask, he just covers his face with just his mouth, just like that. So he's in it. But this is what he had to say. Let me pull it up because I know he said this. I think many of you maybe want to see this. Here it is. There's many wrestlers who want to fight beyond the Tokyo Dome, but as I said before, I have to face you, the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara. We have real stories, stories that only the two of us know. That's why we should fight each other, don't you think? So what do you guys think? Should Sammy take the offer and challenge him? I say that's going to be interesting. I would love to see it. I mean, would you guys see it? I would. So we'll see what happens. Now, as you all know, the Continental Classic is coming out real soon. Now the names have been announced for both blocks in the Blue League and the Gold League. So here's who's going to be in the Blue League. We have our current champion, the Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada, Kyle Fletcher, our brand new TNT champion Daniel Garcia, former Ring of Honor champion, world champion Mark Briscoe, Shelton Benjamin, and Beast Mortos. And as for the Gold League, we have Darby Allin, Claudio Castagnoli, the aerial assassin Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Brody King, and Juice Robinson. So those are the names that will be part of the Continental Classic. So we can't wait to see that. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet, but I do know we have another Stardom show that took place. I haven't been able to see it, but hopefully again. But I haven't decided yet what next episode is going to be. So it's going to be a Monday because, as I always say, Mondays are the most boring days ever. I'm just going to wing it and see what happens. Let's wing it, guys. That's what I do. That's my specialty. So we'll see what happens. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.